Good day. Thank you for joining us for today's news. If you find this helpful, please consider subscribing. We're here every day with calm, clear updates just for you.
The New Zealand government has announced a major overhaul of the National Certificate of Educational Achievement, NCEA, replacing it with a more structured approach to secondary education. This move follows years of criticism of the NCEA's effectiveness and clarity, with reports highlighting issues. The reform, led by Education Minister Erica Stanford, aims to improve student outcomes, align with international standards, and prepare students for the future. The new system will be introduced over the next decade, following a 6-week consultation per minister, and has sparked both support and concerns from educators and Auburn.
A toddler was found inside a suitcase in the luggage hold of a bus traveling from Northland to Auckland, sparking a shocking legal case. A 27-year-old woman has been charged with neglect, and the incident has left the well-known Northland family, and neighbors describe her as someone who was once bright and engaging. The bus driver discovered the child during a stop in Kaiwaka, and the woman appeared emotional in court. The case has raised serious questions about child safety and the responsibilities of parents. The community, known for its close-knit relationships, is struggling to come to terms with the allegations and the petition. The woman's family was taken by surprise when the Herald visited their home, and they had only just learned of the arrest. As the case moves forward, the community is left grappling with the reality of the situation.
Daniel Enjuman Nako, a 37-year-old videographer from New Plymouth, was killed in a single unprovoked punch outside a rugby club. His family is now demanding the government fast-track new laws that would impose harsher penalties for so-called coward punches. These attacks, which often occur when victims pull track, Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith recently announced plans for a new law that would introduce specific charges for such crimes, with maximum penalties of up to life imprisonment. However, the family of Undergainto, arguing that the tragedy should not be in vain. A fundraising campaign has already raised over $25,000 to support the victims' family. The call for change has sparked a national conversation about the need for stronger legal measures to protect the public from this type of violence.
A tragic incident has occurred at Auckland's Mount Eden Corrections Facility, where an inmate named Robert Fitzpatrick was allegedly 46-year-old from Whangarei, had a history with mental health services, and was in custody after breaching bail. His father expressed deep sorrow and criticized. This is the second death at Mount Eden in less than a year following the murder of Andrew Chan Shui. The case has sparked calls for reform and improved mental health support within New Zealand's corrections facilities.
In the early hours of Wednesday morning, a tragic accident unfolded on George Bolt Memorial Drive near Auckland Airport. Arvind Kumar, a 45-year-old truck driver, was killed when his car collided with 2 others. His wife, Jashoda Gaundar, was seriously injured and rushed to the hospital, where she is still recovering. The couple had been heading to the airport to catch a flight to Fiji, where Jashoda was attending her aunt's funeral. Kumar had planned to drop her off before heading to work. Friends and family describe him as a kind and religious man, deeply loved by those who knew him. Tributes from the Fijian community highlight his unwavering dedication. The crash has sparked conversations about road safety in the area, as the community mourns the loss of a cherished family man.
In a tragic railway crossing incident last November, Norton Sowerby drove through a barrier that was already in place, leading to a collision with a train that killed 3 men. Today, Sowerby pleaded guilty to 3 counts of manslaughter in the High Court in Hamilton. His plea came after months of legal proceedings. They are now demanding the maximum sentence, arguing that no punishment will be enough for the loss of 3 lives. As the sentencing date approaches, the case has sparked renewed discussions about road safety and the consequences of reckless driving.
In a remarkable rescue operation off the coast of Tonga, a juvenile female whale was successfully freed from a marine chain that had entangled it. The dramatic footage of the rescue has gone viral, capturing the attention of people around the world. Marine conservationists work tirelessly to disentangle the whale, This incident has reignited the call for stricter regulations and increased awareness to protect marine life from such dangers. The successful rescue serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of ocean conservation and the need for global cooperation in preserving marine ecosystems.
In a tragic maritime disaster off the coast of Yemen, at least 76 Ethiopian migrants have died, with dozens still missing. The boat, which was heading toward Abyei Governorate, sank in the Gulf of Aden, one of the deadliest incidents on the dangerous migration, rescued 2 survivors. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, reported that 157 people were on board, with the fate of the remaining 49 still unknown. This incident is part of a larger pattern of migration through the Red Sea, where thousands of migrants risk their lives to reach the Gulf states. Despite the dangers, many feel they have no choice but to take these routes due to the lack of legal pathways and the economic reliance on remittances from the Gulf. The IOM noted that last year alone, over 558 deaths were recorded on the Red Sea route, with 462 of those from boat accidents. The tragedy has once again brought attention to the perilous conditions faced by migrants and the urgent need for safer legal migration options.
Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Medak has lost momentum in Gaza quit-tape talks following a military victory over Iran, as international pressure mounts and domestic criticism grows over the ongoing conflict.
In a world on the brink of collapse, a mysterious billboard thanking a man named Charles Krantz sets off a chain of events that will change lives forever. Tom Hiddleston stars as Chuck, a character whose journey is both heartwarming and deeply emotional, that is as unconventional. With a stellar cast and a unique narrative structure, the life of Chuck reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is always a chance for connection, redemption, and transformation. It's a film that challenges us to reflect on our own lives and the stories we tell about ourselves.
In Geneva, world leaders are finalizing a global plastics treaty, a potential turning point in the fight against plastic pollution. The treaty aims to curb the production of harmful plastics and their toxic chemicals but powerful industry. When the planet will suffer, New Zealand officials are at the talks, though their mandate has been weakened. The stakes are high. This could be the most important agreement in decades to protect the environment and public health.
A 12-month-old baby was rushed to the hospital in Auckland with serious injuries, sparking an active police investigation. The child remains in critical condition at Middlemore Hospital. This is the second child-related discovery in a suitcase inside a bus's luggage compartment. A 27-year-old woman has been charged with ill-treating a child, though the toddler is reported to be medically well. The incidents have raised alarms about child safety and the need for stronger patriotic vigilance and support systems to ensure the safety of vulnerable children. Behind these troubling events,
Dame Lisa Carrington is making a dramatic return to international competition, stepping in to replace an injured teammate in the K4 boat for the 2025 Canoe Sprint World Championships, Carrington. After initially deciding not to compete in 2025, Carrington has surprised everyone. Her presence brings not only skill, but also inspiration to the squad with 3 gold medals from the 2024 Olympics. Carrington's return is a huge boost for New Zealand's canoe sprint team as they prepare for the World Championships, a reminder of her legacy and the impact she continues to have on the sport.
Liam Lawson is halfway through his first full season in Formula One and has managed to secure a pass mark after a rocky start. The New Zealand driver has shown consistent improvement, 80 points, for the 3rd time in 4 races, with an 8th-place finish at the Hungarian Kobe. Currently sitting 15th in the driver standings, he remains just 7 points behind Esteban Ocon, while the midfield competition remains tight. Lawson's steady progress and recent improvements in the summer break, if he can maintain this consistency, it could be enough to secure his seat with Racing Bulls for the remainder of the season.
In a startling revelation, internal government documents have exposed how ministers worked to keep major changes to the pay equity law under wraps until the very last moment. These measures were designed to prevent a potential surge in pay equity claims and protect the government for by public changes would by public. Despite these concerns, they proceeded with the strategy to ensure the news remained confidential until the bill was introduced in May 2025. The announcement was sudden, and the bill was passed under urgency, leading to widespread halted. 33 active pay equity claims that had been ongoing for years and raised the threshold for proving A. This meant that claims had to be restarted under the new, more stringent criteria. The internal strategy was known as Project 10. A comprehensive communications plan was prepared in advance, to be released only after the bill had been introduced and passed. One internal document bill's introduction, due to the risk of a large increase in claims if the changes were made public before To ensure the information remained confidential, officials were instructed to manually remove digital access to cabinet papers. One memo from Minister Brooke Van Velden's office warned that, leaving the default settings, but also to senior private secretaries and certain advisors, to prevent digital trails, hard copies were hand-delivered to Minister's office. An official from the office of Minister Brooke Van Velden even humorously noted, "For context, I swear I'm not being weirdly difficult. This was the method of distribution that has been advised." The documents highlight that the government's primary motivation was fiscal. The changes were expected to save the Crown approximately $12.8 billion. However, the process was rushed, with no opportunity for public submissions on the bill. A move later criticized as particularly unusual and draconian. Despite the government's awareness of the contentious nature of the changes, it proceeded. Internal discussions acknowledged that the proposed transital erode and alter people's rights and could potentially breach the Human Rights Act and Creation. Nevertheless, the government moved forward with its plan, citing the need to meet the budget 2025 timeline. The changes sparked immediate backlash, with protests erupting across the country. Critics argue that the government's actions were not only secretive but also dismissive of public input and legal rights. The controversy continues to fuel debate over transparency, fairness, and the balance between fiscal responsibility and individual rights.
A sweeping change is on the horizon for New Zealand school sports. Proposed rules from School Sport New Zealand aim to ban Year 14 students, those who have completed their 13th year of study, from competing. In secondary school events, the move comes after years of debate over the fairness of a law-fan year. Critics argue it creates an unfair advantage and encourages a win-at-all-costs mentality. The rules also target the practice of poaching, where schools try to lure students away for sporting purposes. While the ban is strict, schools can apply for exceptions if there are valid. This change, if passed, would take effect from next year, reshaping the landscape of school sports in New Zealand.
New Zealand is being urged to recognize Palestinian statehood as global powers like Britain, France, and Canada move forward with support for the cause, while Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has emphasized the need for immediate humanitarian aid over statehood recognition. Foreign Affairs Minister The potential recognition of Palestine under UN rules could enhance its international standing and pressure Israel to reconsider its policies as the humanitarian crisis in Gaza worsens. The global shift toward Palestinian statehood continues to build momentum, with New Zealand caught in a delicate balancing act.
A 12-month-old baby was rushed to the hospital in Auckland with serious injuries, sparking an immediate police investigation. The child is currently being treated at Middlemore Hospital. This is the second child related in Scudler in a suitcase in just a week following the discovery of a toddler in a suitcase. A 27-year-old woman has been charged with ill-treating a child. Though the toddler was reported to be in good medical condition, these events have left the community in shock, highlighting the need for greater awareness and measures to protect vulnerable children. Authorities are now urging anyone with information to come forward as the
A tragic pharmacy error led to the death of 12-month-old Bellamere Erwin Duncan, who received an adult dosage of phosphate. This incident has sparked nationwide calls for reform in medication dispensing process and highlights the need for greater oversight in the healthcare sector.
In a shocking turn of events, a 20-year-old man named Jack Hargreaves has been charged with the murder of his 31-year-old brother and the armed robbery of a car. The incident began when police were called to a property in Chartwell where they discovered the body of Hargreaves' brother. A swift search followed, leading to the arrest of Jack Hargreaves after he allegedly stole a car from a motorist on Gordonton RD. The vehicle was later stopped by police. In Gruahia, Hargreaves appeared in court today, where he dropped his name suppression and the suppression of his relation. A trial is set for early 2028 as the case unfolds and raises important questions about familial violence and the justice system's response.
In the small town of Bordertown, South Australia, a devastating tragedy has left the community in shock. A mother of 6, Shafi Hassini, was found dead in her home along with her husband Mirza, who had taken his own life. The couple had a history of domestic violence, but there were no current legal restrictions in place at the time of the incident. Neighbors and community leaders have spoken out about the heart-crunching loss, describing Shalv Ikua as a kind and generous member of the community. The tragedy has sparked discussions about the need for stronger support networks and ongaises. As the town mourns the loss of Shalv Ikua and her husband has left a deep void in the lives of those who knew them.
In a shocking turn of events, UK television presenter Jay Blades has been charged with 2 counts of rape by West Mercia Police, known for his long-standing role on BBC's The Repair Shop. Blades now faces serious legal consequences. The charges come after Prezi, which he denied. Blades has stepped back from his TV roles and resigned from his position with the King's Foundation. With a trial date set for August the 13th, the case has sparked a broader conversation about accountability in the entertainment industry and the impact of such allegations.
A Brazilian judge has placed former President Jair Bolsonaro under house arrest for violating a court order that banned him from using social media. The move comes as part of his trial for allegedly plotting a cartel Torre de Sinashu. Lula da Silva Bolsonaro, who is a close ally of former U.S. President Jair Bolsonaro. However, his allies have continued to defy these orders by sharing his speeches online in response. Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes has taken a firm stance, ordering Bolsonaro to be under house arrest at his home in Brasília. The ruling is expected to draw backlash from Brazilian goods and sanctioned Moraes. As the trial nears its conclusion, the case continues to highlight the intense legal and political battle unfolding in Brazil.
In a move that has sparked significant debate, the New Zealand government is determined to push forward with the Marine and Coastal Area MACA bill, despite a recent Supreme Court ruling that questioned its necessity. The legislation, introduced in July 2024, aims to overturn a 2023 decision. Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith argues that the bill is necessary to ensure that the MACA tests are interpreted. An original Polshi major portion chief
a 15-year-old boy was attacked and robbed by a gang of youths at the Avondale train station in Auckland. The incident, which took place on Sunday, has left the victim hospitalized with moderate injuries. According to police, the teenager was followed off the train by a group of youths who had boarded earlier at Newlands Station. One of the youths reportedly asked for the boy's shoes, leading to an assault near a walkway that leads to Blockhouse Bay Road. A pair of sneakers was taken during the attack. Officers arrived at the scene shortly after, but all parties had already left. CCTV footage is being reviewed as part of the ongoing The incident has sparked concerns about public safety on public transport and has led to calls for improved security measures. The victim's family shared images online showing the boy with visible injuries to his head and eyes. Police are appealing for witnesses and continue their investigation into the group responsible.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Meday has declared his intent to expand military operations in Gaza, aiming to fully occupy the territory and eschew reengage hostages, and ensuring Gaza can never again pose a threat to Imberi, the Israeli Sultan The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is worsening with international outrage over images of emaciated children and reports of near-famine conditions. Hostage families and Israeli officials warden the international Küwender, Captives.
As the sequel to Quand Devil Wears Prada begins production, fans and critics are watching closely to see if it can live up to the legacy of the original with new fashion designs, a potentially fresh storyline, and the return of beloved characters. The sequel has the potential to be a success, but it also has a lot to prove.
In the Gaza Strip, food prices have skyrocketed to levels unseen in modern history, confirming the worst fears of a full-blown famine, with flour prices surging 30 times and potatoes 50 times higher. The blame lies squarely on Israel, whose blockade and restrictive policy. Economic historian Yanai Spitzer draws parallels to past famines, such as the Great Bengal Famine of 1943. But Gaza's situation is even more extreme, the long-term effects of this crisis, but for future ones as well. Studies show that famines leave lasting scars on health, cognition, and even future generations through epigenetic changes. As the world watches, the call for immediate humanitarian aid grows louder, with the hope that the international community will act before it's too late.
The tragic death of 12-month-old Bellamere Arwin Duncan has exposed a systemic failure in New Zealand's pharmacy practices. The infant died after being given a medication dose 13 times higher than prescribed. This a symptom of a much deeper systemic issue. The current funding model for pharmacies prioritizes volume over safety, leading to overworked and underpaid pharmacists. A series of errors across multiple stages of the dispensing process led to the tragic mistake. The pharmacy owner has apologized and is implementing new safety checks, but the family is calling for a complaint again. This incident has sparked a national debate about the need for urgent reform in pharmacy practices and funding.
New Zealand's high-risk landscape is under threat as government and healthcare credentials are being sold on the dark web. NewWeb's analysis of 30 billion credentials found over 198,000 compressed accounts, including warns that stolen credentials are being offered for free or sold at low prices. He recommends using passphrases instead of traditional passwords and emphasizes the importance of multi-factor authentication. As cyber threats grow, organizations must reassess their security strategies to protect sensitive data.
That's all for today's news. We appreciate your time. If you enjoyed this update, please consider subscribing. Your support helps us keep going.